try something here. So, yeah, sorry about being a little bit, so how am I doing? I don't know how I'm doing. How are you doing? Just a quick update video because I'm not going to really be able to do anything here the rest of the day with regards here to the tabletop. So I have done all of my... So first things first, what am I talking about here? Oh, well, I should be talking about St. Patrick's Day, I guess, right? I mean, everybody's favorite holiday to booze it up. Surprisingly, I'm not today. But, yeah, that's okay. So, you're probably coming up here thinking, oh, he's going to talk some more about the football thing. Actually, no, I just had in my mind here since that last video that, you know, what I really need to probably start thinking about doing is getting ready to do this playoffs. You know, the playoffs for 2008. So I have spent the day here, the better part of the day, and mixed in watching some soccer and watching my son play some soccer. You know, to do all of the sort of grunt work, pulling together the rosters that will be used for the division series in the 2008. I'm going to call it the 2008 Philly Super Advanced Replay Playoffs. So it's going to be, I'm going to have a little different acronym that leads off the videos other than what it used to be, which is like 08 Phil's SADV or something. So, so yeah, so had to print out a couple of cards. So again, it's really not too easy to divine what the manager would do for teams like the Indians and the Yankees, who did not appear in the playoffs. You know, these are two teams that didn't make it in actual play, but they will be here. So it's kind of tough to, you know, if the Yankees were still in the playoffs, would they have had Hideki Matsui get surgery? You know, would certain of other people have been shut down? You know, I don't know. For the Indians, would they have traded CC and who else? Paul Bird? I mean, they traded some pieces of their puzzle there, and somehow in our simulation here, they still made the playoffs, which is interesting. If their name was Atlanta, I probably would be fuming, but so in that case, I had to sort of like dig around for some, you know, how to try to figure out how the Indians would stack their rotation. And so I'll just talk about it here a little bit, since I feel like baseball is the main reason most people come here. And so the Indians' rotation is going to look like this. It'll be Cliff Lee. Then it'll be Fausto Carmona, better known as Roberto Hernandez. He will be their number 2 pitcher. Jeremy Sowers will be number 3. And then Zach Jackson will be their 4th starter. So, Lee, and I would say Lee is a no-brainer Cy Young winner in the AL that year. That's like, what are you going to do? But, you know, you have like Jake Westbrook, who was, I think he had surgery early in that year and only had 5 starts all season. So, you know, it's kind of like that Indians team that went to the World Series against the Cubs, that they were down to kind of some, I mean, Carmona was fine, but although 5.44 ERA isn't much to like, if you're a manager, you're probably not happy with that, a pitching coach. Jeremy Sowers, his was 5.58, 4-9, and Zach Jackson. And so the other thing I had to do is kind of like dig through their bullpen. I'll say, you know, also making calls on how many bench players to have, how many relievers to have, And I kind of sided more with relievers, or with more relievers rather than fewer with these teams in the American League, because with the DH, you don't really need to worry so much about pinch hitting. But, Jensen Lewis will be their closer, 13 saves. Then they've got Rafael Betancourt and Rafael Perez, the right-hander, or the left-hander out of the pen. Juan Rincon, Edward Mujica. And then what I need to do is print out two guys. So Rich Rundles pitched pretty well for them to close the season. Kind of a no-name. Brendan Donnelly, a little bit better known of a name, but he pitched pretty poorly for them. So that's going to be their... what did I just do there? I just messed something up. Okay, this. Yeah, I like to put these things in order. That's going to be their... This is 2008, Jerry. Remember? No. This is the 2008 Phillies replay. This is the playing out of the playoffs. So, I'll mention the Yankees because, again, we have... so, hi, David. Welcome. So, because, again, they didn't make the postseason, and if you want to see what we're going to do as far as the other teams, like the Angels, the Brewers, the Dodgers, we're pretty much going to go with how they handled it in real life. But the Yankees, they will go Game 1 with Mike Mussina. Andy Pettitte will get the hill for Game 2, and then Pavano. And then Carl Pavano will for Game 3. And then Game 4, it's going to be a game-time decision probably between Phil Hughes and Mussina, whether Mussina comes back on 3 days rest. Hughes is 662, but if the Yankees are up 2-1, they might bring him back. They might bring him in and have him pitch, so that way they could start Mussina in the first game of the ALCS. Again, Yankees pen. So again, like the position players also, I had to make... I'm going to take 3 catchers for them because they had... I'm going to bring Pudge along, as well as Chad Moeller and Jose Molina. So that's my super advanced injury question for pitchers. DH bats 612 is rolled injury check. Well, that's for the most recent seasons. So I think you need to look at the 2015. Let me see. Is this it? No. I'm pretty sure it's on the 2015. If you go to the Stratomatic website, go under, I think it's called Connect. And then there's a thing for roster sheet update. And then you go into the roster sheet, select the 2015 one. And I think the second page of that details the super advanced pitcher's injury chart based on the new paradigm or scheme or system or whatever you want to call it. So check that out. If you can dig that up and find that, let me know if I'm right, if that can happen right away, so that way I can, no. But I think that's where I found it. So it's weird that they put that into the 2015 as like, this is what's going to happen from now on. But then they didn't include that in, maybe it's because they put it in the rule book. In the new versions. So for the new versions, they want you to go and actually buy the game. I don't know. Or they figure that, geeks like us have already bought it. So, for the Yankees, obviously, bullpen-wise, you're going to have Mariano as your closer. We're going with David Robertson. His numbers were a little high for a reliever, but I think he was sort of one of their setup guys. Jabba, Chamberlain, Jose Veras, and Damaso Marte, lefty. I brought in Phil Koch as well as another lefty, and then Brian Bruni and Edouard Ramirez. So I think there's 8 guys there. So we're going to go with like 13 batters, 12 pitchers for the Yankees. So a 4-man rotation potentially. And so Koch could actually flip to the bullpen if they decide to go with Mussina outright as the primary dude. In Game 4, cut it down to a 3-man rotation. Probably they will go with a 4-man rotation. I think that's not so common. Okay, so some other stipulations. Again, we will be using injuries. Now, this I can't do the new pitcher's injury chart, but obviously a batter that comes to the plate could get injured if it's the National League. I'm sure Jerry is very much for pitchers hitting. But if we're doing the American League, again, yeah, you do the 6-12 roll when the DH is up, which doesn't produce a whole lot of injuries, but we'll see how that goes. Speaking of soccer, Strato-Matic just gave Man U a... I guess that's... maybe there's a player... Oh, Matic. Nemanja Matic. I got it now. Yeah. Sorry, I haven't watched a lot of the Premier League lately, but now I kind of figured that out. I'm a little slow today. Okay, other stipulations. When we have a choice between full season card in this playoffs, so let's say a guy was traded and he has 2 cards in the deck, the full season card and the end of season card that has sort of a shorter, what do you want to call it, sample size of data. We're going with the full season, okay? I decided, so in the regular season I was using that short sample because I figured that was exactly off of the that's exactly how it played out. So those are the exact stats. But this is like, again, we're sort of crafting new territory as far as I'm concerned. You're going to have matchups that didn't happen in actual baseball in 2008. So we have to kind of like go into hypothetical mode, and we're going to take injuries that happened during the game. We will, and we'll have to, what was I just saying? Oh, using, like I said, the full season cards to try and give the best representation of what this player brings to the table. So, I'm right. Glad that we were able to sort that out. Baseball demos about the pitcher's injury. So anybody who has the 2017 set and is doing super advanced and is like, what are these numbers on the on the sheet next to the pitchers? I don't understand, and it's that you just have to use different numbers. So, yeah. So FA Cup quarterfinal. So I'm no Manchester United fan. I should be watching Buffalo and I mean, Jerry, I know you're really not a fan of pretty much any other sport other than baseball. So, me talking about college basketball, I should be watching Buffalo and Kentucky. Obviously, Derek earlier mentioned University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I have a friend at work whose son attends there. I'm like texting him, doesn't your son go to UMBC? And he's like, yes. Like, he answered me the next morning. I'm like, did he watch the game? And he's like, no. I'm like, and his son doesn't exactly. He does a lot of computer gaming and stuff, and he doesn't make a lot of friends. I'm like, that's the time to make friends. You go to a watch party at the Commons or something, or a local, or like a frat party where they're watching the game. And go and enjoy yourself, get to know some people, get rowdy. But yeah, it's the way it goes. So, football. I've had a couple of suggestions about how to condense the timing, or maybe not condense. This is for second season, obviously. If you watch the other videos, if you haven't watched them, then it's not obviously. Then you're like, what is, what is it? No, but anyway, I had a couple of Mr. Utah Mike had an idea. Benny Blades, his idea wasn't about condensing it, but it was just maybe producing a part of it. I like to do the whole thing, and I may do what he suggested, which is a few of the games. So each match week, or whatever you want to call it, game week is 4 games, and there's 1 bye. Either pick a game that will be a full game that we show, and then the other 3 do like the 4th quarter, or the 7-minute mark on, or something like that. 7 minutes left, just kind of like the bare bones, the nitty gritty. But I'm still not sure. So game 1, as it came up in my schedule, is Buffalo at Oakland. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to do that one first. But then I realized that in my spreadsheet I had done a couple of. So I have a standings automatic. Well, it's not automatic. I have to sort, but it does collect all of the score data that I put in and comes up with the standings. But I realized that I fouled it up a little bit. So I have a little bit more to do. But so that's kind of like where I was saying to myself this morning, let's get this baseball out of the chute and try to work it out. So hold on a second. I want to look at my email, because they emailed me the playoff schedule. So your first games, since the Dodgers are on the West Coast and the Angels are on the West Coast, the first game that we're going to do Chicago. The Phillies at the Cubs. Sorry, it's the Phillies at the Cubs to start. So that'll be game 1, October 1st, 2008, and then I'll probably do the Yankees at Angels first. Try and alternate to an extent the DH versus non-DH games. So then we would finish up with Brewers at the Dodgers. And so like 5 of the teams, 6 of the teams, we already sort of have some data on what lineups are best to use, and so I'm still going to have to do some stuff with Cleveland and with New York, but that's okay. We'll get it worked out. And obviously golf is moving along. Still have some more to do. Have a lot more to do to get concluded in the first season of that, but we're going to try to factor everything in and just try to push things along here and there, and do my best to sort of mesh together a bunch of different things so that sort of everything comes out in the end well. So I'm also about this close to purchasing the latest version of History Maker Baseball. Thanks to Baseball Demos, who offered me a copy that he wasn't using anymore of that. So what I'm hoping to do, because my son seems to enjoy playing it from time to time, I think I'm actually going to give him the old version. I kind of been clearing that with David, because it's I still consider it to be his. He gave it to me, but I would, if he had someone that if he had a use for it, then I would rather not see my son have the possibility of losing any pieces or anything. But I really want to try and enforce upon him to take care of it, but also give him the opportunity to treat it well, and maybe eventually, he's a little young to understand what we do here, trying to kind of like reproduce or reimagine history for ourselves. I'm not sure if he appreciates that yet, but hopefully someday he will. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up here just for sort of a how are you type of video. Just want to, again, as always, thank each of you who watch these videos, who hang out in the chat, who support the games that we all like to play. I mean, if we don't have people supporting these games by tossing money around at the manufacturers, then these games probably go away eventually. So, you know, fortunately we have there are a couple of them that are pretty well, you know, they've been around a long time, I guess, well established. So, you know, Stratomatic probably isn't going anywhere. Atba probably isn't going anywhere. But some of these other ones that are a little off the beaten path sometimes, just getting people who, you know, and being able to sort of show some of these games, whether it's Tabletop Earl or myself, kind of gives these other manufacturers a chance to show their stuff, and we get to show that we have fun with them. So share the word about a channel if you can. If you can't, understand that too, but appreciate expanding the reach of these, expanding the reach of not only through this channel, but just in general, trying to get people involved in these games. They're fun. They can be relaxing. They can be an escape from reality when reality is too much to understand or like or whatever. Mr. Moley checking in from the UK on quarterfinal weekend in the FA Cup. Soccer Blast is probably something I'm going to have to eventually get. But again, it's just really tough to see with, I mean, what I want History Maker Baseball because I already have it, but I want the newest version. So, and I want to support Keith as much as I can. So, okay, Manchester United beat Brighton and Hove Albion, I guess. So, as they should, with the amount of money that they spend. But in any regard, I'm going to sign off. So look forward to maybe tomorrow afternoon or early tomorrow morning starting off the playoffs here from the 2008 Phillies replay. And we'll probably get the Phillies going first. So, all right, good night, guys. Have a great evening. If you're going out and celebrating St. Paddy's Day, keep the wheels on the pavement. Keep your head together and enjoy it. Just have a great time, whether it's watching sports, probably lots of basketball on. You might not remember it if you get a little too... That was me last year, although it wasn't St. Patrick's Day. It wasn't pretty, and I learned from last year, so it's always good to learn. Now, hopefully I don't forget next year. So, all right, see you later. Thanks a lot. And as you can see, Philadelphia Union drew the Columbus Crew today. So take it easy and have a good one.